In Worcester, Massachusetts, protesters demand they make the city a sanctuary against Trump.
I need the city to protect me because the federal government won't. And if you think you're afraid of Trump, you should see how afraid of Trump I am.
Can you wrap up, please?
I'm shaking right now. I don't want to be here. I'm sorry, am I taking too long pleading for my life?
I speak as both the B and the T in the LGBT.
I do not want to be here. It's my day off. I do not want to be in your DMs. I do not want to be in your email inboxes. I do not want my creativity writing diss tracks like Kendrick. I don't want to spend an hour applying glitter.
But then somebody marched their kid out there to read a letter wearing a shirt stating "Land Back" with an upside-down American flag.
In the city, my birthday is this Saturday, and all I want is peace and for you to vote yes. Please don't let me down for my birthday.
And capping off their city council meeting with a song.
Oh my gosh.
How these grown adults thought singing a parody version of Hot to Go was going to somehow shift political opinions of their city council confuses me. Until you realize it actually worked, as Worcester is now a sanctuary city for the trans community, citing they were worried about the Trump administration coming after them as he banned that affirming care for kids, granting them equal protections, using no city resources to detain them seeking that affirming care. But when you look at who voted against this initiative, they stated there's actually no new rights this will give them that don't already exist, but may actually end up losing the city thousands of dollars in federal funding. So how ridiculous is this? They're demanding sanctuary status, aka protection from federal law, for something that allegedly isn't happening, meaning the operations on kids, but they're pining for a designation that will change absolutely nothing but put the city in danger of going bankrupt. But that's the problem with these deeply liberal to even quote moderately liberal areas, as they have to cater to the most extreme versions of their party to not be called a scary MAGA fascist. As imagine you're on that city council and up for re-election, and your opponent brings up the fact that you voted against sanctuary for an at-risk group. The community won't see the nuance of how this changes absolutely nothing in the city and only brings in a very real budgetary concern. No, their base doesn't respond to logic and reasoning, only the oppression Olympics, as in whoever can claim the most disadvantages is automatically crowned correct. Which is how you get city council meetings that have to cater to people singing songs and demanding designations that are nothing more than empty gestures. The problem being, there is an element of that movement that is going directly after who Trump is trying to protect. As in New York, a hospital canceled appointments for 2 kids in response to Trump's executive order, so they took to the streets to protest on behalf of the rights for those kids. I was told they weren't targeting kids and were just adults trying to live their lives, which if that was the case, most of America is perfectly fine with. But the idea that they need to take to the streets when that thing that's allegedly not happening is stopped makes you think, what is this really for? As why are they so adamant about getting immunity from prosecution unless they're planning on doing exactly that in Worcester? That's like me telling my girlfriend, I'm definitely not talking to my ex. Well, let's be clear, you can't get mad if you catch me talking to my ex. Doesn't really make sense, and simply bringing it up is almost an admission of guilt. But aside from all of that, getting sanctuary from responsibility means so much less under a Trump administration that's actually going to test it. As previously, the Massachusetts governor welcomed her cities becoming sanctuaries.
I think it's really important that cities and towns have the ability, have the exercise and prerogative to label themselves whatever they want to label themselves. And if they want to take on a sanctuary city designation, I think that's great. I think cities and towns are in the position to be able to do that. And I've seen it done as a value statement, as a statement of principles, and I think that's great. I support that.
But once they started flying people from border states to sanctuary, local resources quickly became overwhelmed as they were forced to sleep at the airport.
Dozens of migrants lined up, sleeping on the floor of Terminal E at Logan Airport.
Last week, our camera captured dozens of families sleeping on the floor of Terminal E at Logan. Little ones, toddling across the floor, and babies. The issue isn't new. Massport officials said migrant families were sleeping in Logan in November, but the numbers are startling. Some estimate more than 100 folks.
So the state pressured citizens to house immigrants in their homes.
If you have an extra room or suite in your home, please consider hosting a family. Safe housing and shelter is our most pressing need. Become a sponsor family. You can contact the Brazilian Worker Center for more information on how you can step up if you're willing to have an additional family be part of your family.
Only to later declare a state of emergency from the sanctuary.
As of today, close to 5,600 families with children are living in state-funded shelters, hotels, dorms, and other emergency facilities across Massachusetts. That figure is 80% higher than it was just 1 year ago. Delays and barriers to federal work authorizations, we find ourselves in this situation, and it's unsustainable. For this reason, today I am declaring a state of emergency in Massachusetts.
As they're now relying on the feds to clean up their mess.
Police federal agents on the back went inside one of the apartment buildings. 2 agents waited outside, 1 person taken into custody that we saw. President Trump has said the priority is finding and deporting those with criminal backgrounds.
And this isn't the only city regretting their sanctuary status, as New York City is basically the same. Once the border states start sending people they wanted to provide sanctuary to, even though they sent some back, their resources quickly became overwhelmed and people were sleeping on the streets. They again pleaded for private residents to house them.
And then moved to private residents. There are residents who are suffering right now because of economic challenges. They have spare rooms, they have locales, and
then claimed their self-designation of sanctuary city would destroy them.
I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City. Destroy New York City.
And now expect the federal government to bail them out.
City Hall confirming that the federal government has now clawed back more than $80 million in FEMA grants the Biden administration awarded the city to house migrants. Adams says that they are requesting an emergency meeting with FEMA and are exploring all legal options.
We have reached out to the White House. We want to find out exactly what took place. It was unfortunate the previous administration left us with a huge price tag, and we want to sit down and explain how we should believe that the course of the national issue should not be on the back of us.
Funny how when you decode sanctuary to lawlessness or independence from federal law, everything immediately changes when they can no longer rely on federal action to support their local decisions. They may need to appease the angry locals singing songs in city council meetings, but at the end of the day, they still need Trump to fix their finances. So Democrats have this weird balancing act of pretending to care about the most extreme side of their political party and not destroying their city. But sadly, the party that's always about please think of the kids is actually letting them get caught in the middle of all of this. Whether it's sanctuary for medical procedures or sanctuary for wide open borders, they're playing politics while there's actual lives being impacted in the middle. But somehow they aren't thinking of them when there's an election to win and emotional blackmail is their only move. So if you appreciate alliteration over my concise, lighthearted commentary on how America is finally back, hopefully I've earned your subscription and we can chat again soon.